Hello and welcome to Phillip Island for the opening round of the Formula Ford and Formula Holden Championships. Hello, I'm Grant Denyer and welcome to your racing fixed trackside. We have some hot open-wheeler action for you this afternoon, which does include some new names, including flamboyant Californian Emerson Newton-John. Now, that's the nephew of Olivia Newton-John. We'll catch up with him shortly. There's plenty of other young stars who are about to do battle in a ferocious season opener. We also go to Adelaide for the opening round of the Nations Cup Championship from the sensational streets of Adelaide. But now it's over to Greg Russ for a shakedown on the new Formula Holden season.
The field for the 2001 Holden Australian Drivers' Championship really has got an entirely new look about it. A lot of the established stars that we've come to know in recent years have all taken the next step in their motorsport careers, and that's opened the door for a whole heap of talented youngsters to have a crack at the prestigious CAMS Gold Star Award. There's been so much change during the off-season that this weekend's opening round at Phillip Island is going to be a hard one to predict. And picking a potential champion has been made even tougher because a number of last year's stars like Simon Wills are actually looking to make cameo appearances throughout the year, which is going to really impact on the championship aspirations of those competitors looking to contest the entire 8 rounds of the series. One thing that is confirmed is the arrival of a hot new talent in Rick Kelly. The 18-year-old from Mildura was the runner-up in last year's Formula Ford Championship, and he missed out by just 1 point. Kelly has joined forces with the championship winners, Barana Racing.
Basically, we've got a really good team, obviously the best team in the Formula Holden category, so the rest of it's up to me. I mean, we've got the car to win, and it's just up to me to be able to push it to the finish line.
Kelly will drive the car that Simon Wills used in last year's championship, and it's decked out in Holden Young Lions colours. He'll enter the championship as the man to beat, and it would seem his closest full-season adversaries will be from NRC Racing's Emerson Newton-John and Stuart McColl, Rolt Australia's Alan Gurr, and Hocking Motorsports' Chris Starr.
Basically, it seems like a series that drivers are coming out of and they're going places with Mark Webber and Scott Dixon and Jason Wright. It's obviously a car that you can, if you win races here, you're going to go to Europe or the States and probably win races there as well.
Yep, we're expecting some big things from MO in season 2001. Here is the Phillip Island Grand Prix layout, and it's one of the fastest circuits in the country. 4.4 k's in length, at home to some of our prestigious forms of motorsport. Around the World Superbike Championship coming up, and of course, the Australian Motorcycle Grand Prix later in the year. Right now, Formula Holdens, and Peter Hill, the reigning Silver Star champion, carrying our trackside onboard camera today. Rick Kelly on debut on pole position for the opening round of the 2001 Formula Holden Championship. Stuart McColl will start alongside him on the front row. Further back, Peter Hill, who we've just seen. Rowan Carrick line up on row 5, and Ian Peters driving the car that Jason Bright, who now campaigns for the Holden racing team, used to great success in Formula Holden. He's at the very back of the grid. Getting set for a start in the opener of the championship. Rick Kelly blasts off the line. Problems there for Stuart McColl. And boy, everyone doing a terrific job to avoid the NRC driver. But Kelly will lead the field. Alan Gurr looks as though he's going to storm into second position, dicing away there with Murchison, but Murchison gets the most of the horsepower into turn 1, and he will slot into second position. Boy, Cameron McConville, what about that start?
Well, that was a huge start from Rick Kelly, absolutely launched off the line, but problems for McColl. I think he may have stalled on the grid. Very, very lucky that it's a relatively smaller field here and that he didn't get hit from behind.
Well, Kelly is out in front in a commanding lead already. This is Alan Gurr coming under siege from Emerson Newton-John. He slots himself up into third position now, so he's moved past Peter Hill on a charge too deep under brakes down into Honda corner. He's made up a couple of positions there.
And look at the marbles on the right front wheel there, Rusty, so you can see a lot of debris on the track, a lot of stones offline. He just locked the inside front wheel there, but Peter on a charge, definitely. He's had a lot more speed than it showed in qualifying and testing down here, so he really wants to do well this weekend.
Peter driving the M111 Racing Reynard, the 95 model, being looked after by Kevin Murphy, Greg Murphy's dad here at Phillip Island. Alan Gurr sitting in fourth position in the telecell 94 Reynard, the orange and black entry there. Now, here is a replay of the start, Cam.
Well, if you have a look to the top left of the screen there, you can see McColl stalled on the line. Everyone sort of went left and right and got around. Peter Hill hesitated a little bit to avoid contact in the sequential gearbox. Was going to pull another gear there, but left it. And a nice clean start for Peter. You saw some sparks flying from underneath one of those cars as well. You've tested a couple of Formula Holdens. Why is that? Why does that happen? Well, they probably start with a fairly full fuel load to start this race, so the car will just bottom out over the bumps under heavy braking, maybe for the first few laps, and they have skid plates underneath, so that's perfectly normal.
What a talent this kid is. 18 years of age, hails from Mildura. The brother of Todd Kelly, who these days is campaigning for the Kmart team in V8 supercar racing. Rick last year missed out on the Formula Ford title by just 1 point, has stepped up to Formula Holdens and is enjoying success immediately. Took pole position and has a commanding lead over this man, Christian Murchison. Last year's Rookie of the Year in Formula Holden terms. Burst onto the Formula Ford scene a couple of years ago and has been incredibly quick. But a deal to race in Formula Holden in 2001 only came together late in the piece. Last year he drove for these guys, NRC International. But this year those seats are occupied by Stuart McCall and the Californian, the 26-year-old Emerson Newton-John, the nephew of Olivia Newton-John, who is looking to do some big things here in Australia and use it as a stepping stone to get maybe to Indy Lights or even into Europe.
Well, Formula Holden cars are very good for that too, Greg, because they're very fast. They've got a lot of downforce, a fair bit of horsepower too in the V6 Holden engine as we go back on board with Peter Hill.
That looks like it's Stuart McCall possibly making his way back up through the field. So an incredible fight back from the guy who these days bases himself in Victoria but has won a stack of titles in go-karting terms and Formula Ford in New South Wales. So a really spirited fight back from him. He's managed to get around Roger Oakeshott there in the Sportsmed entry, and the guy we were riding with, Peter Hill. Cam, you might like to tell us what it's like to drive a Formula Holden around a place like Phillip Island.
Very physically demanding, Rusty, because the cars give a lot of downforce, particularly through turn 1 there, where you can see Peter Hill actually lifted because he was in traffic. May have lost a little bit of downforce in the front of the car if you're following another car very closely, but they go through turn 1 absolutely flat to the floor. So they are some 10 seconds a lap faster than a V8 supercar here. Obviously only about half the horsepower, a lot lighter, a lot more grip, and they are really quite a lot of loading on your neck around here. Quite physical to drive.
Just noticed there as we went through the results that Paul Stevenson, the dual Australian Formula 3 champion, is having some sort of dramas. He's a bit further down the order than he would like. They have been having brake troubles with that car, but they had some gains in the morning warm-up and improved their best time around the Phillip Island circuit by around about 1.5 seconds. Now Peter Hill throwing out a challenge to Roger Oakeshott, the elder statesman of the Formula Holden field. He's 44 years of age. And Hill last year really enjoyed some good success, Cam, in Silver Star terms in this category.
Yes, he did, and that was his first really full year of Formula Holden competition. The car looks fantastic. I know Peter's taking it very seriously. He trains quite hard physically to be strong in the upper body, which is what you have to really be able to do in a Formula Holden, particularly in a longer race. And he's found his way through. And one of the newer cars and probably faster cars in this field.
Paul Stevenson in the ex-Damien Digby car has latched on to the back of that group. Now another battle. Alan Gurr coming under siege from Chris Staff by the looks of things. So Staff has really got some pace on, and Gurr, let's not forget, he's one of several drivers making his debut in this category this year. Our leader Rick Kelly, one of them, so too is Gurr. Gurr, a very experienced go-karter and has done a lot of miles in testing over the summer months, some 800 Ks, but Staff uses his experience and dives down the inside at Honda corner. Gee, there's been some track changes here too, Cam. The layout has changed. You can notice in the background there, all that dirt. They've cleared a lot of trees and really opened and widened up the Honda corner, which is good from a safety aspect.
Absolutely, you need plenty of runoff here because these cars are going very, very quick indeed. And we see Alan Gurr on screen now. I've been very impressed with Alan Gurr. I've watched him come up through go-karts and in other categories, super touring. This is really his first tilt in a Formula car, a single-seater, other than he did a few races in Formula 4, but not a focused campaign like this. A lot of testing, as we said, mainly at Eastern Creek, though, so he's still coming to grips with the Phillip Island circuit.
Well, I know team boss Graham Watson has been very impressed with his pace. As I mentioned, did around about 800 Ks in testing. Now here's a good test for him because Stuart McCall, who had that mix-up at the start, has really been forcing his way right back up the ladder and is now throwing out a challenge to Gurr. And look at that, the NRC driver diving right down the inside as they head toward turn 1. Incredible speeds here in these cars. Very, very fast in a Formula Holden.
Very, very quick, some 240 kilometres an hour into turn 1 there. And I tell you, Stuart McCall has got a heap of horsepower in that car. I noticed he went through past Peter Hill very quickly, towed past Alan Gurr there, although Alan Gurr's car just starting to drop off there. I'm not sure whether Gurr may have a problem.
Looked like as he came through turn 1, there was a bit of a puff of smoke coming from the rear of the car as McCall continues this incredible charge late under brakes and down the inside of Staff. at Honda corner. So he has now slotted himself up into 4th position. That's an incredible fight back from the 21-year-old, a Formula Ford graduate who has jumped up to the NRC racing team, a team that enjoyed a lot of success during the off-season races in New Zealand. Now McColl under fire again from Staff. Staff will have the inside running as they work up toward the hay shed, but McColl shuts the door on him.
Good clean move there by McCauley. Chris Staff, he may have lost a little bit of time through Siberia corner, the left hand, because Chris Staff got another look at him, but now McColl settled in. And all under brakes, though, Chris Staff still wants to latch onto Stuart McColl there, so very good effort. And we see Rick Kelly out in front doing it very, very comfortably. And he really has been very impressive this weekend.
Certainly has. The car, of course, in Holden Young Lions colours. Rick Kelly, 18 years of age. Now, Emerson Newton-John throwing out a challenge in the latter stages of this race to Christian Murchison. And Murcho, who spent the latter part of his teenage years in Western Australia, but is campaigning for Singapore, where he was born and raised in the early years, drops back into 3rd position. But Newton-John, the Californian, is on a charge here. Gee, he's setting some incredibly quick lap times. And look at that, the gap has really narrowed between himself and Kelly. Don't know if Kelly's got some sort of drama, but Newton-John is charging. Rowan Carrick, by the looks of things, in some sort of bother there. That's down at turn 1. That's a hell of a place to come off, Cam.
Well, in one of these cars, it's certainly a place where you don't want to spin off the track, but it just shows how safe Phillip Island is on the left of the circuit on the outside, and fortunate that there is plenty of room there for him to not hit a tyre wall.
Some lap traffic for Rick Kelly to contend with, but this young guy has really taken on the challenge of stepping up to a wings and slicks car superbly. And I know that the team at Barana Racing have been very impressed with his dedicated approach to it. In behind him, Emerson Newton-John is awfully close. We're heading toward the checkered flag in this one, so a strong performance from Emerson Newton-John on debut as well in the Formula Holden ranks. But the opening race of the season will go to this man, the 18-year-old from Mildura. Rick Kelly will take it out. Spirited drive, though, from Emerson Newton-John for 2nd place, separated by tenths of a second. Those guys, there's Christian Murchison. He will finish in 3rd in the Rolt 98 entry. But a terrific performance from young Rick Kelly. Starts the season in the best possible fashion in the Holden Young Lions entry. Emerson Newton-John in 2nd there. McColl getting back to 4th after stalling virtually at the start of the race and having to fight his way from the rear of the field.